Right now, we're having some technical difficulties. However, our online. Oh, awesome! It's working. Awesome, awesome. No, you're fine. We're on live, so let me go ahead and add you to the live. Thank you for coming and thank you for your persistence. That's awesome. I thank you for your.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was like, don't panic. We'll get it. We'll get it.
I
Don't.
definitely was starting to a little bit.
Of course, we want to start on time, and we're always conscientious of people's time, but we really wanted. I know this is very important because I've had people to even ask questions about mental health. So I definitely knew that this was important to get on board. Matter of fact, we're also bringing another licensed social worker on board tomorrow. So people are really concerned about their mental health, and that's awesome that we're talking about it. So now that you are on, can you begin to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, my name is Ashira Windsor. I'm a licensed clinical social worker in the states of California and Mississippi. Social work is my passion. I do it based on just my life experiences and me wanting to help others. I am a military wife. Me and my husband have 5 children together. They are all adults, though. Oldest 27, youngest 21, and they are spread across the
And
world
you
right
don't look
now.
it, and you don't look it. You
Yep,
look absolutely amazing.
all of my boys are military, and my girls are in college.
Awesome, awesome. So you have been residing in the Mississippi Gulf Coast for about how long?
2 years. 2 years now.
Awesome. Look at you. You've made quite an impact and a ripple, not just a ripple, but a typhoon along the Miss. Okay, we like to use hurricane. So and I mean that in a great way. You have made a big splash here and a big impression. I reached out to you because I truly respect you. I met you doing a promotional thing with Mr. Pittman, a photographer. So I just fell in love with your spirit. And so I definitely said that's somebody I want to connect with. So, as a licensed social worker and subject matter expert in your field, could you help us to understand how to reduce the anxiety of COVID 19? I know there's a lot of information and misinformation, and I have had people on board to come on to share information. And once we get good information in hand, we tend to do better. But there are still, even with good information, people are still struggling with stress. I have friends who have post-traumatic stress disorder. They feel like this is Hurricane Katrina all over again. They may feel like this is a military move all over again. And when I heard that, I was like, people are struggling in so many different areas, and we need to help if we can get some information. So, can you speak to that?
So yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I had a client yesterday that had lived through a hurricane over in the islands, and they lost everything, and so that was his main focus of the session. But for me, I want to start off by saying I thought about this, and I thought the best way to address this question would to be to kind of point out the differences or counter the thoughts that people have who suffer with issues of mental illness. So I want to say I understand that people that struggle with trauma, whether it be from a natural disaster or because they have served in the military, this may be triggering for them. And I understand,
Mhm.
especially in the deep south, that Hurricane Katrina was an inflection point for them. So definitely they are experiencing a heightened level of anxiety and fear. One based on just not knowing what the future holds, but remembering, right, the lack of resources they had. Some people were on roofs
Right.
for several days. Some they didn't. The ones that made it to the Superdome, those conditions were horrendous. The people that had small children were worried about feeding them, diapering them, formula for their children. So I understand that there is trauma based on just Hurricane Katrina for people that live here in the deep South. So when I think about COVID 19 and I think about things that are different from it, or things are traumas that we've experienced in the past based on natural disasters or being in the military. Um, so for right now, we can stand in that we haven't been displaced, right? You still have your housing, and it is highly likely that once this all settles down that you may still have your housing. The government is trying to put some measures in place to help with housing. Now, that's not a guarantee that you won't struggle financially. I'm a small business owner. Um, Honestly, I have to say that I don't really have any fear about what's going to happen. I understand I can't control it, and all I can do is, rebound from it. But right now, you have somewhere to live. You still have water. You still have utilities. And so, water is flat rate right now. So, they're minimizing costs that way. They aren't allowed to turn off utilities for right now, amazingly, here in the Mississippi area, for most grocery stores you're going in, there's still food there to sustain you. Now, toilet tissue is going to be a totally different thing, right?
Yeah.
But even more of that is coming. So, for those of us that are concerned that you won't have food or your basic necessities, things are going to be replenished. Now, they're going to be replenished at a slower rate based on
Yes.
things that are going on, but they are going to be replenished. So for people during Hurricane Katrina that went not weeks, but some went months without having things that they needed, were totally displaced, moved to different areas, had to start over with housing, wondered where their next meal was coming from. Uh, it's this is different in that way. Now, I worry about the people that are were homeless before this, right, and what they're gonna do.
Right.
So I feel some, I guess, strain as it pertains to that. The other thing about the coronavirus pandemic is statistically, if you were to contract it, you are highly likely to recover. Now, I'm not saying to you that you should not be careful, that you should
Right.
not adhere to CDC instructions as how to navigate COVID 19. But you should also be mindful of the elderly or people that have lowered immune systems. So you still want to abide by those guidelines. COVID 19 is 3 times more contagious than a regular flu, but the mortality rate is really so I'm going to say you're not likely to die from it. Now, there is a chance people are dying, but
Yes.
it's different in that way as well. So I'm not telling you to not be safe because because you're not likely to die from it. That's not what I'm telling you. I'm telling you to follow the instructions of the CDC, to make sure that you are being safe. You are washing your hands. You are sanitizing areas that you are in. That you are keeping at least 6 feet in between you and other persons. That you aren't meeting in groups that are larger than 10. So I'm not saying to you to not be safe, but all of the things that you're worried about, your basic necessities, your tangible needs, um, right now they're going to be met. So we aren't at kind of like at that apocalyptic stage, right, where there's nothing there for you to have. The other thing is, you have all these couponing friends, hit them up. If you're running out of some toilet tissue or some Lysol or whatever
If
else.
somebody's out of toilet, don't take me there with the toilet tissue. But I do understand. I do understand. I had a neighbor who needed, elderly neighbor who needed some toilet tissue, and we made sure that they received their needs. And that's part of. And I spoke. Everybody that I've had on has spoken to the toilet tissue and being community minded, and that's essentially what you're saying. Needs are met if we just make sure we go and get what we need and not hoard, and just get what we need and be minded, and especially our elderly, our most vulnerable. Everybody that I've had on has stated that. And to that point, that's my segue to earlier. Dr. Sandra Melvin was on, and she is a doctor in public health.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, I overlooked the question, but I said it would be a great question to ask you.
Okay.
What are your tips to decrease or limit stress and anxiety during social distancing? And I don't think she minds me saying her name. Brittany Grant asked that question to Dr. Melvin, but I said, hey, we have a mental health professional coming on, and that would be a great opportunity to ask her that question.
So, things that I think that you should do to relieve stress from social distancing, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to for first off talk about social media, if I
Okay.
can, and how that can help with your social distancing. So,
Yes.
as it pertains to social media, first, oh my gosh, there are several conspiracy theories floating out there. And so I want to say to that fact that social distancing does not only include people.
Come
For
on now.
me, it includes social media
Information.
and news
Yes.
outlets, right? You want to take a
Hmm.
break from social media if it is heightening your anxiety. You want to make sure that you are only getting information from reputable resources: the Center for Disease Control, the Mississippi State Department of Health, solid news outlets. So, the conspiracy theory that all of us are going to be forced to get vaccinations that's going to have chips in them, that they're going to be able to blow us up with them, the eradicate us, get rid of them, that kind of stuff. Don't read. Please screen what you are allowing into your spirit, what you
Right.
are allowing to enter into your mind. Take a break.
Right.
Social distancing does not only mean people, that means social media as well.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome point. That's such an
that's what I'm
amazing
going to say
point.
to you. Don't read. Don't believe everything you read, but just don't read it. Go to reputable resources for the information
Yeah.
that you want as it pertains to COVID-19. Other things, though, are things you can do to help with anxiety that's centered on COVID-19, is to focus on what you can control instead of what you can't. So at the end of the day, the only thing that you can truly control is yourself and how you respond to things, right? And so,
Yes.
that's
I
the
behave.
yes, that's the first thing I'm going to say. And that makes me think about what you said about community, right? Um, we should be being kind during this time. This is a time to check on your neighbor, to share if you
Yes.
have more than more than you need. Um, Another thing you can do to help with anxiety at this time is try to remain grounded, centered, and at peace. So, I've been trying really hard to not come off as nonchalant about everything, but I just feel such
Hmm.
a peace right now. I literally have the peace that surpasses all understanding.
Right.
I can't get
Right.
um I just can't get upset about everything that's going on around me.
But
And part
that
of it,
ties into what, okay, I'm sorry.
oh, you can speak.
That ties into what you were saying earlier. You already, and you kind of went there, and I'm going to go ahead and open the door because this is a faith-based broadcast. It ties into place because you've already guarded your heart and your mind with what's coming in your eye gates and your ear gates. That's spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've already set yourself up for success because you putting your mind in a place and aligning it with peace. And so your heart is not troubled, your mind is not troubled because you have already separated yourself from the foolishness. And then the information that you know to be reputable and good, you're able to shift through that more, have a more equitable impact and say, okay, well, this is good and this is what I need, and process it better because you don't have all those other things fighting for your attention. I
Absolutely.
think that's what I did. Yes.
Absolutely.
So you had already set that up. And so you're at peace. It's not that you're nonchalant. It's just that, okay, I'm not troubled. My heart is not troubled because I hadn't let all this stuff bombard my mind and bombard my heart and escalate unnecessary fear.
Yes, absolutely. I want to say that for those of us that are Christians and you do believe in God, this is a great opportunity to stand in your faith and to trust God, to not operate out of fear, but out of faith. So, but with that being said, as human beings, we aren't perfect people. We do
Right.
struggle with anxiety. We do struggle with depression. We struggle with things that we need help with. And in these times, it is natural that those symptoms will be exacerbated for
Yes.
you. But what I want to say is that you should seek the help that you need. I understand that for some of us, God, we feel that God has everything that we need, and He does. But that does not
Yes.
mean that He has not endowed people that are walking this earth with gifts, people that He's working through to do His work for Him. So I want to share this little story with you, and it'll be quick, but
And that's
I
exactly why
love
I
it.
had to have you on.
Hmm?
That's exactly what, although we're a faith-based broadcast, that's exactly why I have you on because I know that God has gifted you. That is one of the opening statements that I said. I connected with your spirit, understood, understood and respected the authority that you walk in this gift as a licensed professional in social work and in mental health. So I applaud and I am grateful when people do seek help from professionals like yourself.
Yes. So I like to share this story with my clients quite often, and it's a
Mhm.
simple little story. I think it was meant to be a joke, but really it's not a joke. For me, it's a story. So
Okay.
you have a flood. You have a family that's on the roof. The flood, it's enormous flood.
Yes.
They're sitting on the roof, right, and they're praying out to
Yes.
God. They're believers of
Mhm.
God. They're praying, saying, God, please help us, please help us, please save us, right? So a boat
Mhm.
comes by and said, "Oh my gosh, guys, we have room for you in our
Mhm.
boats. Hop in." No, 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 we're waiting on God to save us. A second boat comes by and say, God, guys, this water is getting really high. We have room in our boat. You're welcome to hop in. No, no, we're waiting for God to save
You
us.
know God.
The third and final boat comes in and says, they say, look, guys, no other boats are coming through here. This is your last chance. We have room on our boat. Hop on. They don't hop on there waiting for God to save us. Okay, so unfortunately, they meet their demise. They are believers. They're in heaven. They have an opportunity to ask God, God, we ask you to save us. Why didn't you? And He says to them, I sent three. I sent three to save you. And I say that to say that you can have Jesus and therapy too. He has endowed all of us with gifts. He works through all of us, doctors, nurses, social workers, counselors, those that just have a heart to help, period. So you are allowed to have your faith, but you are also allowed to seek needed healing from those that He has endowed with those gifts to help you. So you can have
Yeah.
Jesus in therapy too.
Amen. Amen. I certainly agree. Um, so as you walk through some of the things, what are some of your expectations with, I guess, helping people understand? You just shared a story of, God's gifting people and He sent three. But what are your expectations to get the word out when people are saying, oh my God, I'm just overwhelmed. I was already struggling. And my job, I'm not working as many hours as not everybody has the option to work remotely. Not everybody has the option to keep their 40 hours a week, because some places depend on, certain places depend on constant patronage, like, your restaurants and things of that nature. And, some people are just saying, oh my God, I don't have a check, or the check is going to be limited. And so they're already producing that fear in their mind, and they have a concern, as they should have a concern, because they want to keep their families intact. So what are your expectations to get the word, to not have that troubled heart, and to work through, because I know counseling can help, but then there's also, they're going to need the resource piece.
So this is the part where I'm finding that social media has been great. So this is one area where it has been great. So
Mm-hmm.
as I go through my Facebook feed, I'm seeing people list several places that are helping. United Way is helping with
So I
utilities, helping with rent cost. So some things are supposed to happen from the government, but I understand that is not solid yet. Um, I just want to say that I don't think that I guess so. So for me, when I think about this, I think about for everything that I may possibly lose from this, that is going to be restored unto me. I know that people are struggling. Gosh, I'm sorry, I feel so peaceful about everything. But when I think about my business, I haven't been in business for a year, a solid year yet. And here it goes. I'm a small business, I'm still establishing for me. And so I have some worries about that. And I understand that I may have to do some rebuilding with that. Once again, I guess I'm just going to go back to, and I actually did put a piece in there about the Small Business Association or the federal government things they are doing for small businesses, for people that are needing individual help. Uh, Check out resources that are being placed on
alcohol.
Facebook.
I'm
And
sorry,
so
go
I'm
ahead.
seeing a lot of things there. Like I said, the United Way is helping with utilities and bills. Several places are doing meals for children at this
Yes.
time. So that's the one
Found
thing
out
I'm
that
going
the
to say.
Lost Point are actually delivering,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken, it's Lost Point, the school systems, they're delivering meals at children's homes. So I thought that was just extremely excellent and
Yes.
thoughtful of the
There was
Montgomery
another
School
big
District and
meal
Montgomery
for
District
kids
7.
today where they fed 300 people. Infinity Church, they fed
Yes.
300 children today. So that's where I'm going to say
Okay.
social media is great. Look for those outlets.
Right.
Those of us that see
Yes.
those things, share them and then
Share them.
continue to share them, the options that we have for people that are struggling. But once again, the last thing I want to say about that is, guys, be kind. Check on your neighbors. I shipped off 2 boxes to people today of things that they need that didn't have tissue or wipes, or I mean, just several different things. I shipped off 2 boxes today for that. So check in on others. The other thing too, though, is if you need help, open your mouth and say it. If we don't know that you need the help, how can we
And
help?
we, yes. Oh, I am so grateful that we had this conversation in this time and shared this time and space. Um, are there any words that you want to leave with us as we close this evening?
So I just want to say, for people that are dealing with anxiety or cabin fever, get out and sit on your porch and get some fresh air. Take a walk, a short walk. Do dinners with your family. Sit down at the table and have dinners with your family if you have people that are living with you. Practice some mindfulness. Practice some deep breathing. If you I have a resource that's free. It's called Mindful, Mindful USC, Mindful USC. It is an app that you can get on an Apple iPhone or an Android phone. And when you go in, it literally assesses where you are mentally, and it pulls up several breathing exercises or mindfulness exercises that you can participate in. It is totally
Now say
free.
that again so I
It is
can say that
mind.
again.
It's Mindful USC. Mindful USC. So I went to the University of Southern California. So USC for USC. Mindful USC. Totally free app. When
That,
you go on, it's going to ask you your affiliation. Just say your affiliation is other, and it will allow you to log in. You don't have to put any credit card information, nothing. You're just going to go in and hit that you are other, and it's going to start assessing your mental status at that point. So
okay.
totally free. And so that's what I want to leave you with. Literally, I just want to say to you guys, faith over fear. Faith over fear. Make sure you are being safe. Make sure you are practicing the safety measures that have been put out by the CDC. The other thing, make sure you're guarding your spirit and what you allow into your mind and into your heart. The other thing, the conspiracy theories, stay away from them. As far as I know, there's no plan to call martial law into existence. Even if there's a lockdown, it's not a thing where you can't leave the house. You can leave the house for essentials, to get food, to get groceries, for medical appointments, even to work if you have to go to work. So none of I've heard we're going to be locked down on martial law so many times, but that absolutely is not a plan at this juncture. So that's what I want to leave you with. Thanks for having me on.
Um, of course, we got to give your information out. We need to share it on your website, all of your handles, what you specialize in, whether it's marriage, family, the whole gamut. Run it down and share it with us, sister.
Okay. So my website, the name of my private practice is Catalyst Counseling and Therapy Services. My website is www.catalystcounselingandtherapy.com. I specialize in anxiety, depression, trauma. I throw a little couples therapy in there as well. I work with children. Adolescents really love me, so mostly adolescents. Um, and that's about it. Um,
You gotta have some other handles. Have you gotten any books out? Any blogs? Anything? Share that. And if you have social media handles
okay.
that are uh, related to your profession, it doesn't have to be your private information.
So
Share that as well.
I do have a Catalyst Facebook business page. I also have an authentically Ashira page where I just kind of go on and talk about things that are laid on my heart. The email address for Catalyst is catalystcts@gmail.com. I do have an Instagram, and that will be Catalyst CTS, just Catalyst underscore CTS. And that's it. That's what I
Awesome.
have.
Thank you for coming, and we appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Bye bye. Thanks for the opportunity.